Welcome to Fancounters. My name's Nick.
And I'm Elizabeth.
And you can follow us on social media by going to Facebook. Search Fancounters. And if you want to join the private Facebook group and talk to us directly and give us feedback on the show, that group is called Sharpie Nation.
And always, you can email us at hello@fancounters.com.
All right, Elizabeth, we got another good show this week. But first, I asked before we started, do you got a story for me?
Well, I do have a story. You know, we're getting to June and the sun is out, and this is the first time ever that we have been so far ahead in our yard that we can actually enjoy things.
Wow.
Like the garden was planted weeks ago. My husband dropped a tree way back in the beginning of May, and that's all been cleaned up. The house has all been painted. Now we are waiting for a garage addition. But other than that, this is the first summer that we don't have, Mark is always at the Tour of America's Dairyland, which is the nation's largest bicycle race in the month of June, and that's been postponed. So this is the first time that we actually can do actual family time, and I'm looking forward to going canoeing and kayaking and spending some time, with the family that isn't like this massive to-do list that never seems to end.
I can absolutely second that. Kathy has said the same thing to me about our yard. We've got more trees cut and trimmed and pruned, and everything's out by the road a week before they're going to pick it up. And we can actually take some time to just enjoy things because all of the projects inside the house got done in the first 3 weeks or so of the whole quarantine. And now the outside stuff is good because the weather's better. And I couldn't agree. We're looking forward to opening the pool like any day now. And we're ready to go.
Outstanding. Yeah, it's a blessing in disguise, but it's also very weird. Like I feel like my husband always says the list never ends. Well, it's getting shorter and shorter and shorter, let me tell you.
Woohoo, that feels like a win.
Yeah.
All right. This week on the show, Eric James Morris is here. And although he's not a household name, you may have seen him in The Fast and the Furious, on Vampire Diaries, and a show in which I cannot mention. But if you go to his IMDb page, you'll find it. We're not talking about that show today, but we're talking about many other projects that Eric James Morris is involved in. And we are going to get started right now.
Coming to you from nowhere near the entertainment capital of the world, this is Fancounters with Nick and Elizabeth on the Podfix Network.
There was this mob of people, and they're screaming my name.
Crazy fans.
Stop following me. Don't come around my house. If you do, the cops are going to be at yours.
If I'm having dinner with my wife, don't sit down at my table. Don't follow me into the bathroom.
Can I take a picture? We're going to, oh my God.
I think this guy wants to fight me. Ended up being a fan.
I'm the only one that's ever been on Sam Jackson and lived to tell about it.
Well, guess what? I have a big surprise for you.
That's why we call it Fancounters.
I don't think you're going to last on the air very long.
Eric James Morris, welcome to the Fancounters Celebrity Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us this week.
Hey, thanks, Nick, for having me, man. I appreciate it.
You bet. Now, when I first started doing the research for our talk today, I was immediately drawn to a project that you actually did in March for a 72-hour horror film race. And as a filmmaker myself, I did compete last fall in a 48-hour film project, which I know is a very intense time, not only for the people making the film, but the actors. So I would love to hear as an actor about your experience in that.
The director and writer's name, I'm assuming we're talking about the, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but Lilith, is that right?
I wish I wrote down the name of the project. Doggone it.
That's got to be it. It's the most recent one I've done for the a film race like that. But anyways, Tim is the director, Tim Everett, and I've worked with him for the past few years doing just one ongoing feature film called Bounty Hunter, and it's been spread out over a long period of time because everything's period correct. It's just been difficult to get shot, but he had this idea he wanted to do this, so he asked if I would play the guy. So I was like, sure, man. So it was a story about basically a man that's insane, and that's not revealed until the end. He thinks he's a monk, and he's in a monastery, and he has a demon visit him every night, and this demon's a female type demon, and she's messing with him, and that's how that's what it's based upon. And then at the end, there's a reveal that he's actually insane in an institution. And so it was interesting nonetheless. I played a crazy monk. I had some shirtless scenes in there, so I wasn't too thrilled about that because I need to hit the weight pile a little bit longer. But
you look to be like a very in shape guy, though. I don't think the women who watch this film because their guy wants to is going to be disappointed.
Well, I appreciate it, man. But it's you always want to look your best.
That's
but,
right.
We did a good job. We shot it at his friend of his basement and adjoining a little garage apartment, ironically. And we had some really good areas that they used a stone wall and made it look like it was inside of a monk monastery and had candlelight and did a good job with that. And then the insane asylum reveal actually was a bathroom.
Oh, really?
They made a fake door. The guy, Rock, his name's Rock Chase, he's involved with Tim. And I just did a film with him the other day for his son for a Georgia State University film project. But he's very handy. He builds stuff all the time. And he built this faux door with a plexiglass center, and it had the wire mesh in it, so it looked like you would find looking through like an insane asylum prison cell or something.
Yeah.
But it's got glass, and it was so crazy is because it was just a piece of plywood that was painted, and he did a really good job making that look real. And I run up to it, and I'm all got my face in there. I'm talking to the doctor. I'm going crazy, yelling at her and stuff,
Well, I know what it's like to be on the other side of the camera trying to get all the shots and everything that you need in a very short amount of time. But as an actor, do you feel the same pressure, or at least some pressure, to make sure that you get it right, to give them that performance, the first time, so you're not doing it too many times for them? What do you feel when you're under these time crunches in these sort of contests?
Oh, yeah, definitely. As an actor, I always strive to, give the best performance each time and be prepared and mentally prepared as well for my interpretation of the character. Because a lot of times directors, I'm sure it's sometimes it's hard to express what you envision for this character to be versus what the actor envisions this character to be. Sometimes there can be a significant conflict, and that happens sometimes, but usually I really read into what they want and try to bring that guy the best way that I can bring him to life for that moment. And it's that way it reads right, and you can, sometimes an actor can, do something wrong or just interpret the character wrong, and it messes up the story. It just doesn't seem, it's not right, and
Yeah.
I've had that happen to me. Sad to say, it was a feature film, and I played a guy in a bar, a redneck guy, and was picking up this female. I thought it was a female. It's actually a man that was dressed like a woman. And so I'm the guy that's in the bar that didn't know. And that's the first time this girl decided to go out in public. And, I didn't get the memo that this was supposed to be kind of a comedic film.
Oh.
And the director never told me that. I just did what they said. I played the redneck guy, whatever he wanted me to do. I walked over there to him, and said my lines and, whatever. But when I went to watch the actual film come out, they had several different scenes, and they were very comedic. And
unlike what you were doing.
Yeah, I wasn't as comedic as I could have been. I mean, it just didn't read right. And all I wanted to do was get out of there before anybody recognized who I was. Because because everybody laughed at the other scenes and stuff. And then when mine came up, it didn't get a lot of laughs. It just wasn't funny. And it could have been freaking hilarious. It was a perfect moment that got wasted. I would have made the adjustment.
Sure.
That's all I needed was tell me what you want. You know?
So, well, and they know
happen.
what came before, and they know what comes after. So you wouldn't have a way to really understand that unless they tell you. So certainly,
that's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Now, not knocking the gentleman who wrote it. I mean, it was a great film. It was a really good film, actually. It kind of reminded you of Cinderella with the the three sisters and the step. But this was he had a stepdad. I'm sorry, man, I know we're getting off topic, but it was a good film.
That's okay.
You know, and so to get back to the film race, same thing. Just an actor, you definitely want to be on top of your game. You want to be quick. You don't want to be in there, you know, messing up left and right and not able to perform and all that stuff. So I try not to do that. I try to do the best I can, you know.
Yeah.
Because it is a time constraints, and it's not just. I mean, he barely made the deadline, getting it edited and getting it sent up in time. I mean, literally within minutes. That's how much of a time crunch everything was.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably pretty common. We were within like 11 minutes of the deadline, getting everything submitted.
Yeah,
so it's tight.
And he had, because it wasn't so much of us filming and stuff like that, but he had some unforeseen technical difficulties on the back end. Something wrong with the file that he had. The sound file was all jacked up. He had a bunch of problems, and then had something wrong with the computer. I don't know, man. It's just you know, if something's going to go wrong, that's when it's going to happen.
Oh yeah, when you're trying to get it in a deadline, you can find numerous amounts of problems that would come up. Let's move on to February this past 2020. It brought us the release of a movie called Justice on Trial. It was about Emmett Till's situation, which was set in Mississippi. So you were in the film, and it also features well-known actor Todd Bridges. So tell us a little bit about that movie and your character in the movie.
A friend of mine asked me if I would play the part of, I think his name's Roy. I forget his name. I think it was Roy something. He was the one, Roy Bryant, or I can't remember his name, but he's the one who went on trial for the murder of Emmett Till. Him and his
you're right, Roy
brother
Bryant.
Or brother-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
Roy Bryant, is that it?
Yep.
Okay. That was, so they asked about to play it. And at first I was kind of on the fence about it. I'm like, I don't know, man. It's, you know, it's a pretty controversial, horrible thing. I mean, this is reality. It's not just a, you know, fiction movie here.
Right.
So, but I did it, and I just played the part where I kill Emmett. We beat him up and rough him up, and I didn't audition for it. It's just like I say, somebody asked me if I would do it, and I said okay. And at the time I had no clue that Todd Bridges was even in. I didn't find out Todd Bridges was even in the film till, I mean, weeks later. I mean, I just happened to see a post about it. And I thought, well, damn, who knew? That's
so he was not on set.
I grew up watching Different Strokes.
Yeah.
So
he was not on set with you.
A lot of people don't realize as actors that there's been several times that I've done stuff that it might have been somebody, a bigger name in it that I didn't even know was in it, or a commercial that came out or aired. I'm the last one to know that it came out. I don't even know. You know, people tell me.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but yeah, the story there's a true story that happened in the early mid 50s, Mississippi, about a young man named Emmett Till, African American kid. I was visiting some, I think, relatives in the area, and he was from Chicago area, Illinois, where things were a little different. He come to the South in Mississippi, where there was a lot of, racial divide still, wasn't quite as open as it was back where he was from. And anyways, something happened out with him approaching Roy Barnes' wife in a store, and there was rumor that he basically said something to her. Maybe she was pretty, but then it come out recently. Actually, that wife, she I don't know if she's dead or not, but she made a statement that it was actually false. It wasn't even true. So what she said that kid did, which was basically something along the lines of, "Hey, honey," or just something like that, whatever he said. Nothing, he didn't hurt her, but just make it a comment. It pissed off her husband, who owned the store, which was Roy, and then him and his brother or whatever, they were acquitted, but it was obvious, they were guilty.
Right.
They went and done some horrific things to that kid, and it was pretty sad. And when you look at because I researched the real story in depth to figure out who Roy Barnes was, so I kind of had to know what it was like, and I didn't have it wasn't a huge part of I'm a huge part of the story. My character is, but I mean, I wasn't a huge part of the film. But I'll say that I'm glad that the story was told, or in detail, because a lot of people are not even familiar with that story. And I'm glad that I got to play an important part of that story, even though it was the bad side of it. So, and the fact it had Todd Bridges in it was pretty cool. I wish I had a chance to meet him. I wasn't on set with him, but it would have been awesome. I mean, like I said, I grew up watching Different Strokes, and that's one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, and I think the reason why you weren't, and I was looking this up, and I'm like, well, if you were one of the attackers and he was an attorney, but it all actually happens in modern day with civil rights attorneys suing the U.S. Department of Justice for reparations and damages that were done through time travel. Mm-hmm. So you were part of that time travel package that he was not in. So that makes sense. Yeah, the way he did it, and I guess maybe that it was probably for those reasons that, trying to get people around at the same time, and, for the sake of making the shooting easier, the director, I don't even remember his name, but nice dude. I guess that's why he did it that way. Mm-hmm. I haven't even seen the film. I don't know how it played out. Yeah, I've seen some preview footage of it. I haven't seen the whole thing. Having found it now on IMDb and looking more into it as I was preparing for talking to you, it's definitely a film I want to see. It sounds really good. Yeah, I'd like to see it too, because I think this is a conglomerate of some other stories as well. It's not just that one, I don't think. The way I interpreted the preview, but I mean, that may be just about it, the Emmett Till exclusively, but it seemed like it had a mix of a few things. And it's just ironic that story, I think the FBI had recently reopened the investigation of this Emmett Till murder because of the new information that the woman actually falsified, that what supposedly Emmett Till said to the woman in the story. And this doesn't matter what he said, but I mean, but it's just kind of crazy that this guy had made this film at almost the same time when this investigation got reopened. So I just thought it was a great time. I just happened to be lucky. Actually, a friend of mine, another actor, his name's Eric Wilkerson. He's the one that asked me if I would play it. He wound up playing the brother. So it was me and him. Oh, nice. That are the ones that are killing Emmett. So he's from Texas. This guy Eric, he was here in Atlanta for a while, a year and a half or something like that. But he recently went back to Texas. But yeah, he just happened to know that director, and they were wanting somebody to play the part, and he knew that I'd play a lot of roles where I kill people. So you're always the bad guy. Do it. What's that? I said you're always the bad guy. That? Yeah, man. I know it sucks. It doesn't. I mean, I like to be cast, but unfortunately, a lot of times people see me as this dark character. It's just because my eyes, like whatever. But you'd like to play normal guys. You'd like to play more of a nice guy, like a loving husband or a silly dad or something. Yeah, man, I can't wait for the day. I mean, people ask me sometimes, like, what role would be your dream role? What do you want to do? And I'm like, well, I like to be cast as like a love interest in a regular trauma or something, like just something normal. Yeah. It's kind of cool, but I have done a little bit of comedy, not a lot. I've done some, very small, but it's over the top comedy where I'm just making goofy faces and doing that outrageous stuff. I enjoy that, a lot. I'm not a funny guy, but being like over the top, like a Jim Carrey type, loud comic type I can do that. And I have fun with that. You don't want to be typecast into that. Yeah, I don't want to be, but sometimes, typecasted is okay. You can break away from that eventually. A lot of actors start out, and playing a bad guy, and once they got going, they were able to experiment with different types of characters. Your career's really kind of taken off the last couple of years. You're involved in so many different types of projects. When you look back and think about the memories that you're carrying from these different films and TV series and things that you've been a part of, which ones jump out at you as ones that you're really glad you did, and or maybe even that feature your best work that you would want casting directors or even fans to look at?
One of the most memorable films for me from a personal standpoint, was a project called Edge of Town. And at the time, it's not a huge part. I play a neighbor that's just kind of a mean to the star. She's my next door neighbor. I'm just kind of that neighbor that's kind of a prick. And so we're up in the North Georgia mountains area shooting this, and this another gentleman who's playing her father. And me and him have words. We square off with each other, have that moment. Like we're getting ready to fight or whatever. We're kind of squaring off like an old Western or whatever you want to call it. And super nice guy, we got to talking personally, and then he invited me to, just connect on social media. So I did. And then I got looking at his page and I realized who he is. His name's Dwayne Whitaker. And Dwayne Whitaker, I don't know if you remember the Quentin Tarantino movie Pulp Fiction.
Oh, of course, yeah.
It's legendary,
Oh yeah.
The scene that when they are fighting, they're in the pawn. They go inside the pawn shop, and the pawn shop owner is Dwayne Whitaker. So he's the one that locks the door, and they go downstairs and they get the gimp out of the box.
Yes.
And so Dwayne Whitaker is the guy with the beard. He's kind of he's standing there in the room as all this weird stuff's going on. So, and why that stuff sticks out to me so much is because of my best friend. All right. His name was David Martin. He died, unfortunately, about 10 years ago. He had cancer. It was real sad. But growing up, we were best buddies. And when this movie came out, we used to always just die laughing at this scene. And it's specifically Dwayne Whitaker's character. Because of the way he was acting in the room, and my buddy, he would emulate it, and it was just hilarious. My friend was super funny. He was a natural comedian. He was just crazy. But so when I realized that I'm standing here on a front porch, squaring off and having words with this man that was in this same film from Quentin Tarantino's project, to me that was pretty monumental. I mean, it meant a lot to me. I was like, wow, I can't believe this. And I wish my buddy was still here to see it.
Yeah.
Because he'd be tripping out, man. But so that on a personal level, that stands out to me more than anything I've done. So, yeah, man, that's probably on a personal note, that project, that moment is the highlight so far since I've started chasing this mess.
That's cool.
And the other project that was pretty cool was called Two Roads. And it was a pilot. Sony PlayStation Network, back before, I don't know if they're still even active or not, but they were like a streaming network. They had stuff that they put up.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a competition for filmmakers to create a pilot, and there was several of them. And Two Roads, I got cast to be this golf cart salesman, and I'm kind of like the comic relief of this pilot for this series. I had never seen the series. I'd never even seen the pilot. I had no clue. I just knew what my character was.
Okay.
And so my character is this golf cart sales guy, and he's just over the top, man. I mean, he's just like he breaks out every sales technique known to man to sell this man a golf cart. But you don't even know he's selling a golf cart. You think maybe he's selling him a Cadillac. They don't reveal what he's selling him till the end of the scene, so it makes it even funnier.
That's cool.
But so I'm like really crazy over the top, and there was a lot of goofy footage. There again, one of my goofy comedic moments that people have come to know me for that because it's such a crazy, funny scene. But anyways, this competition, this girl who the director of that, and she actually she won the competition, and the win was basically to have a series or a season on Sony PlayStation Network.
Huh.
So that was the goal, and this was before Sony PlayStation Network kind of changed some things. I don't know what happened But
Yeah, I
something
think it
happened
dissolved.
where
I do remember them putting out
something
content.
happened where that didn't happen. You know, but one of the producers of the show, they liked my character so much, she called me, and they were writing me in as a main character.
Oh, cool.
I was going to be the husband of one of the girls on the show.
Well, that would have changed your persona and your the types of roles you get.
It would have changed everything.
Yeah,
exactly. So it was a pretty awesome thing, but there again, it did not completely come together. And unfortunately, in this business, that happens a lot.
It does.
You know, you just can't really put a lot of faith into anything you do. You just got to just continue to do your best, and just forget the rest. So, if you've ever had a coach or something growing up that said that, I mean, that's pretty much almost how you have to look at it, man. Because if you put a lot of hope and dreams into one project or something, and then it gets crushed on you, man, that's what a lot of actors have. Drug problems and get depressed and whatever. It's a tough game.
Well, especially if you do reach some sort of success and then you can't match it in your next project. That's very depressing, and it can be very hard. So
there's a guy that was local here in Atlanta. He was an actor, kind of like me. He hadn't been doing it long. He used to be a professional wrestler, like in WWF or the stuff on TV.
WWE now. Yep.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, he was a big old dude, big scary guy, and he got cast in some big stuff early on. I mean, his intimidating demeanor got him in some neat stuff. He was in Ride Along with Ice Cube. He was
awesome.
The biker that picks up what's his name? The little dude, the little comedian guy out in front of the bar. Ice Cube sets him up. They have him go over there and talk to these bikers about how they're parked outside or whatever. It's a funny scene. That's him, and he was actually in Ride Along Part 2, but they cut all his footage, and he didn't know it until it came out.
Yeah, that's
and
the worst.
He did a lot of other. Yeah, man.
Oops.
Yeah, I know. He had invited a lot of people over for a watch party, and that sucks, man.
Yeah.
But and that happens a lot. But anyways, unfortunately, long story short, he actually took his own life. I don't know what else the situation was. I don't think it was that. He probably had some other things going on, I'm sure. But I'm sure those types of issues in this industry, if you let them get to you, it can really. It can mess with you.
Yeah. Oof. Well, let's go into a happier subject. There's a genre out there that's not getting produced much anymore, and that's Westerns. But you star in a Western that's coming out really soon called The Bounty Hunter. Wondering if you can tell us a little bit about what it's like to work in a time period piece like this.
Well, working in time period pieces is challenging because everything has to be period correct. Because like the weapons, the wardrobe, and those things are hard to find sometimes, especially locations. Unless you have the budget, to film inside of a studio or something like that. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to find locations that look right, it makes it tough. And that's the challenges that, especially the director and the team had on that project. It's just getting everything shot and places that look right. There's always trying to seek out these areas, and it just makes it tough. But it is fun. I enjoy doing Westerns. I mean, I'm riding horses, that particular project, I play one of the main characters. I'm the love interest of the story, but there's not a lot of love interest. I mean, you see where me and the young girl have, our thing, but her dad doesn't like me, and he hires a bounty hunter they frame me, and then they hire the bounty hunter to track me down and try to kill me. And then we wind up teaming up later on and going back up for the town bad guys. That's the story. But I enjoyed it a lot. I love Westerns. They need to make more of them, in my opinion. I mean, I think they're great. I think they will make a comeback. A lot of people are shooting them. I've met some guys that's doing stuff now that I'm hoping that I can work with them in the future. I'd love to. I like it, man. It kind of goes in hand with my accent. So
it does. Well, and I think every year they usually do produce about 2 or 3 of them, but there's room for a lot more because the audience is still there.
Yeah, I think people enjoy Westerns that have a good storyline. Not necessarily, good old classic, John Wayne stuff, but something that they play with that era as much as possible. I remember that one was that Wild Wild West a long time ago with
Will Smith.
Will Smith, yeah. That they played with that one some, and it was cool. The kind of things they threw in there, like the guy with the makeshift ear. I mean, just little stuff. It was just kind of cool to play with that time period as much as possible. I think people enjoy that. And also maybe even playing around with time travel, like Back to the Future when they go back. I think it was part 3.
Yeah, that was part 3.
When they go back.
Mm-hmm.
It's just cool, man. They're trying to get back to the present, but they are in the Western, and the way Michael Fox did with that made it even funnier. So,
Do you have any idea? And I know that you said you're kind of out of the loop as far as releases go, but do you know when that Bounty Hunter film might be expected?
We were supposed to finish it up this spring, and we had a couple of complications. One of the scenes they couldn't complete. One of the actresses, she flaked out, man. I don't know what happened, but they had to recast her, so they had to reshoot her scenes, and that made a problem.
Yeah,
but she had a pretty important part of the story. And then we had the virus come out. Yeah, that screwed up some shots. But
so you have a little bit more work to do on that.
Happened.
They have more work to do on that.
Yeah, real close though. I mean, real close. Just really have to reshoot those items, and then he already has some distribution set up, so it should be coming out soon. I'd say probably somewhere at the end of the summer, in the fall, it should be available.
Perfect. Now, you, as our audience can't tell by your accent, you're from the South. You're from Atlanta, which is where you're living.
Yes.
There's a variety of
That's
projects.
Right, born and raised.
Oh, cool. There's a lot of projects being filmed there. Tyler Perry has a studio there. What is your take on the opportunities that Atlanta is creating for actors and crew in studio and network projects?
Well, it's a different ballgame. If you've ever been to Los Angeles, it's totally different. So I think it's a good thing. Atlanta is it's a different vibe. There's a lot of great stuff to shoot. Naturally occurring formations, southern homes, homesteads, farms, things like that, make for some really good place to film. I mean, The Walking Dead's been being shot here for a long time.
Yes.
That's just one of several. There was a list that I saw recently. It's like a long list of projects, and you would recognize the name of every single one of them. I mean, a lot of big productions are here.
Mm-hmm.
They still cast a lot of talent out of the Studio City back over in Los Angeles, but they do cast a lot of local talent too, and a lot of casting directors here try to use local talent as much as possible because the talent is here. Atlanta, it had to grow some. It's not, Los Angeles. It's never been known as a big acting city. Where L.A. is the founding city, man. Of the industry, or New York for that matter too. So there was a rumor in the industry early on that Atlanta, was a bunch of, it's just nobody's got any talent, or whatever, which is simply not true. And there are some awesome actors here in Atlanta that are doing some amazing things. And, I'm lucky. I mean, I feel very lucky, very blessed to be from this great city. And these guys are doing great things. I'm very proud of them. And I hope to be a part of that one day soon. You just never know. Things with this business change with a phone call. You just never know what's going to happen next. So, but I think it's a good thing for Atlanta, as a lot of revenue is generated in the city because of it. A lot of people have moved here from out of state, from California, New York, all over really. It's rare that I meet somebody now that's actually from Atlanta, especially that's in this business. I mean, when they hear me talk, they assume I'm from deep South Texas. I'm like, no, I'm from here. This is native sound, man. Now, I grew up out west of Atlanta mostly, which is kind of more of a country setting. So a lot of my accent comes from that. And I used to live in Texas, so I got a little bit of both. I can clean up my accent a little bit, but it's never really 100% goes away, So it's going to be hard for me to play a pissed off New Yorker anytime soon.
What is great, though, about the Atlanta scene is that a lot of times the film incentives, which I know that Georgia has amazing film incentives for bringing projects there, do require a certain amount of local talent be hired as part of that whole complete production. So I can only see opportunities growing more, especially as more productions come.
Yeah, and you're right. That helps a lot. And, like I say, there's some actors that I know that have done some really good, awesome things. I mean, just recently, that Clint Eastwood movie that just came out about the bombings of 1996 here in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the name,
Yeah,
man. I can't remember anything. But one of the actors, the guy who plays the dean at the college, he had a very large role. I mean, I know him personally.
Huh.
You talk to him, yeah, he's great. That guy works all the time. I mean, all the time. You start looking at things he's done, you're like, oh yeah, I've seen him. So, and he's an Atlanta actor. And there's a few others like him that are just killing it, man. They're staying busy. They're known, and so yeah, it's happening.
Yeah,
it's going to continue to progress.
Richard Jewell is the name of the project that was filmed and just released.
That's the name of it.
Yep. So we hear all the time about the long hours that actors can spend on a set when they're filming a project, and you're busy with multiple projects going on at the same time. So how, as an actor, do you balance your work life and your home life and everything you need to do to make your world run? How do you prioritize what needs to be done?
Well, that could be difficult. I'm a middle-aged man, and most guys my age, they have families, or you've got to make money, and unfortunately in the acting business, there's a lot of moments. I mean, most of the time you're not making anything. I mean, hardly peanuts, and then sometimes you'll do something that does pay pretty good, but it's not steady. It's not like it's a lot of money. It's only a small handful of, people that do this that are really doing it full time and making, top dollar, some of your A-list talents, what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of guys that are in this industry, you got to love it. And I do. I love it. I love it. It's not just acting. I also like to sing and play guitar. I'm just an artist at heart, so that's first, and then second is finding that balance to make it all fit. And acting, it's so unpredictable. There's no way to really plan, for what's going to happen. Like you said, with the long hours.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you go on set, there's a call time, but there's not a rap time.
That's
so
for sure.
You never know what's going. I mean, I've learned from experience that just block out the whole day and most of the night.
Yep.
That's the best thing you can do. So for people to have a real job, you can't do that. It's just, man, you're going to lose your job. One of them's going to get in the way of the other.
Yeah.
So for me, fortunately, I have a company, and we're doing okay. We're always trying to grow the business. Sometimes when acting gets heavy, it takes away from my company. I just do the best I can, man. A lot of times I don't even know what day it is. I just roll, man. Every day is just it's a new day. So it could be Sunday and you tell me it's Friday, I'd believe you. I don't know. It doesn't. Every day is the same. I mean, every day is packed full of stuff with business, and I'm not actually looking for any stuff on my own. I'm not actively seeking any jobs, but when I am looking for work and pressing, I'll have to be careful. I'll wind up taking on too much, and I think I can handle it. And then next thing you know, you're just all over the place, man. I mean, I've been in that position where I had too many, trying to juggle, a few projects at once. And I had one time I felt so bad for this one small project. I thought I could go to both sets in the same day, and that's when I learned that will never work. It just,
Somebody got disappointed.
So, yeah. So, but being an actor, I mean, guys are always looking for the next. You're always seeking work, So to not seek it is not a good idea. You need to constantly chase it. You have to.
Yep.
So when you land a job, I mean, you ought to be looking for the next one, even while you're working that one. So that way you can kind of keep it rolling, man. And sometimes you get double booked. That happens.
Well, we want to see you on The Walking Dead. That would be great.
Man, I'd like to see me on The Walking Dead too. That'd be perfect. That'd be right up my alley. Them guys that are from Australia, they have they're working on their southern accent. I'm like, man, this is authentic, man.
There you go. You already got that taken care of.
Exactly.
Eric, when you think about movies that you love, because you've starred in so many different genres of projects, give me your top three. Give me your top three films that you could watch anytime.
Well, number one is, of course, Tom Hanks' Forrest Gump.
Okay. That's
one of my all-time favorite films. I've seen it thousands of times. I probably could watch it another thousands. I mean, it's just a great movie. It's just well shot, you know. The other films that I like the most, well, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series.
Okay.
I've always been a fan of those, and not because I'm some sicko. I've always had a thing for ever since I was a little kid. When the real first one came out, I'll never forget. I was a little kid, and I had an older sister, and she got to watch it, and my mom didn't really want me to see it. So when I finally got to watch it later on, I was all excited. So I've always kind of had a thing for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Also, Matthew McConaughey, he played in one of I think it was part 3. He had this mechanical leg, and it was a cool part. I like how McConaughey came from doing something like that to where he's at now.
Yeah, I mean, he could be in anything.
Yeah, I mean, I watched something recently that came out. It was called Serenity. He's like in a video game of his son built. He didn't even know it. It's kind of cool movie. And speaking of that, the other movie that I like a lot is the one that he played in, the Dallas Buyers Club. The story about the AIDS and him hustling the drugs for everybody. I thought that was kind of cool.
Now with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they redid those movies. So, do you like the classics better than the remake?
I do. I like the originals. They were more elusive. May not have been as good with quality of gore and things like that. But,
right.
It's just hard to replicate the original stories. I feel like sometimes when they keep something alive for so long, just like there you go, man. But the originals is the ones I like the most.
Okay.
Same thing with your classic horror, your Friday the 13th, your Jason's, even your Krueger movie, the Nightmare on Elm Street stuff. The originals is the ones that I like. Now, of course, the quality as time went on with the remakes and the techniques, and as that has improved. I mean, yeah, but something about the classic. It doesn't have to be as gory and as great as graphics to really be a scary movie, in my opinion.
Right, and they did the same thing with Poltergeist, which is in my top 3 set of films that I love. I don't know, it must have been 5 years ago, they've tried to put out a Poltergeist movie. It was awful. It was just like, you got to watch the classic, and even when you watch the first one, it's so cheesy with some of the graphics and the special effects that they did, but that's what made it awesome. Those classic 80s horror movies.
Oh no, man! It's funny you say that. Poltergeist. That's another classic. That is a good, awesome movie. The part of the chicken on the counter. I never forget that with the maggots on it and all that. Yeah, it's not the same. I mean, and speaking about that, I kind of wish Hollywood would. I don't feel like they're really producing the kind of stuff they used to. It just is not the same, man. It's a lot of stuff they're redoing, and I just feel like the content is I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. There's something's not that. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just getting older, But it seems like some of these films that are coming out that are current, they're just not the same, man.
They're not the same, and they're very forgettable. My father-in-law
Yeah.
and I have a thing where every Tuesday, because they have $5 movies here, and for the last couple of years, we've been going to a movie every Tuesday, and most of the films are so forgettable. By Thursday, people are like, "What would you see on Tuesday?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I don't even remember the name of it," because it's just they're so flyby and just kind of
Yeah.
there's nothing special about them.
Yeah.
Some of the war movies that have come out though lately, those have been great. Like there was that 1917, that was a fantastic film. But
Yeah,
as
I
far
need
as
to catch that on
comedies and stuff, a lot of
Netflix,
stuff just misses.
Well, you know what? On that note, I will need to add to that list of great films, and this is a recent one. This is one of the best films I've seen, in the past 5 years. Is Quentin Tarantino's was it Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? That's what it's called, with Brad Pitt. I thought that was a phenomenal movie. I was like, wow, this is great, man. I just loved the way he put it together. It's kind of funny at the end when they kept beating the guy's head in. It was gross, but it was funny at the same time.
Look, I won't disagree with you, but I do have a question. At what point in that movie did you think it was phenomenal? Because the first 2 hours and 20 minutes, my father-in-law looked at me and goes, I still have no idea what's going to happen. Where is this movie going? And we were already over 2 hours into it. But it really wasn't until that reveal right at the end. You're like, oh my God, this movie was fantastic, because then you realize what the tie-in was the whole time. But it took a long time for me to feel like it was phenomenal.
Well, if you research, that director, Sharon Tate, the Rosemary's Baby guy, I forget his name. He's the one who came out with that film, and there was a lot of information about him. And it's what I liked about the movie the most is the fact that it's an outside point of view. It's like so random. This guy just happens to be the neighbor to this gentleman,
Sure. Yeah.
The director of the film. I can't remember his name now. Very well known. And then, of course, Miss Tate, lives there and everything. It's like an outside. It's the outside. I mean, everybody's heard of the Charlie Manson story,
Mm-hmm.
So I like how they played off of the reality, but used it as the film's basically an outside point of view, as if it was a whole separate story, but it just happened to be in line at the same time.
Yes.
That all that transpired. I liked it. I thought it was a neat idea, and I like Quentin Tarantino's style personally. Some people don't, not just because of Pulp Fiction, but also the Kill Bill series and all that stuff. I just like the way he kind of does things. It's just different.
It's different,
From dusk till
absolutely.
dawn,
Yep.
Yeah, man, it's just cool. But I thought the movie was great, personally. So, but that's it's all subjective.
It was great. Well, this has been a very fun hour. I appreciate you joining us this week. And before we let you go, though, throw out where we can find you and follow you on social media.
Well, you can come to my IMDb page. Just look for Eric James Morris. That's my full name, and that's what I go by as an actor. And I do that for two reasons. It's easier to find. There's another gentleman that goes by the name of Eric Morris. It's well known. He's an acting coach out in California. So you just look for Eric Morris. You're going to find a lot of information about him. And he's a great guy, but it's not the
you.
right guy. So,
yeah, gotcha.
Eric James Morris is me. And so go to imdb.com and just search for Eric James Morris. You'll find my page. You can see what's coming up, what we've done, where I've been, stuff like that. You can come to my Facebook page. I have a professional. It's just Eric James Morris. Or look at my personal page. You can see me personally. And that's just Eric Morris and the number 2.
Awesome.
So that's the best places to find me. So yeah, definitely come keep up with me. And I appreciate the support.
Our thanks to Eric James Morris for joining us on the show this week. Sorry you couldn't make it for that one, Elizabeth.
I know. I can't be everywhere.
Well, we're trying to have you on more often, so we'll continue to do that as long as we can, get out of our houses. But unfortunately, next week, I did another show without you. We're doing it on the guest's real birthday, which is awesome. So next week, we're celebrating the birthday of Eric Osmond. He is the son of Ken Osmond, Eddie Haskell, and he and his brother Christian are going to be here as our series of interviews from the New Leave to Beaver reunion continue. They're going to be talking about their time on the show, what it's like to have a very famous father, and we're going to hear all of that next week, June the 12th, on Eric's birthday. So I'm excited for everybody to hear that interview finally.
Cool.
Now, in the meantime, if you want to communicate with the show, you can always email us.
At hello@fancounters.com.
And Elizabeth, I hope you have a great week. Hope to be back in the studio very soon with you, maybe even for, the next couple weeks after next week.
I'm hoping.
All right, fingers crossed.
I do miss you.
I know. Like I keep mentioning, poking you during an interview is the easiest way to get you to ask the next question.
That's right.
Plus, I just miss picking you.
It's hard to do it from a quarantine situation.
Yeah. All right, until next week, I hope you all stay safe and healthy, and we'll talk to you soon.
See ya. Bye-bye.